Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you find yourself in this weird, wild, wacky world of ours, and welcome to the exciting Song to Darkness in Dublin. Hyun sleeps or goes to bed. It's quite late. You've been up all night doing. You've been up all night doing what has been referred to as creative cogitating calculus with your mentor, who is currently you had to wrestle him away from what he was referring to as a breakthrough and what you were in fact convinced was a miniature black hole. But then again, it's Tuesday. These things happen. Um, but finally, you find bed. You find that solace that is the lights being turned off and your head hitting the pillow. Ah, sweet, sweet oblivion. However, as your eyes close, thankful for the ability to leave the universe for a brief time, they blink open again, only this time they open onto a rather idyllic scene. They open onto a beautiful beach with white sand that spreads out as far as the eye can see on either side. Palm trees and other lush vegetation grow about 200 or 300 feet behind you, the sandbank separating you from them. The sun beats down from above, but it's a pleasant warmth. It seems to invigorate you as opposed to draining you or burning you. You hear the sea crash and lap against the shore.
Jim's gonna look around, try to see if there's anything of note on the beach besides the ocean. He might splash a little bit in the water. He hasn't been like an actual ocean in a little while, or to a beach rather. As far as he's aware, he's never been to one.
You will see down the beach that there's a parasol that's been set up, and you see a figure seated under the parasol, but they're sitting facing their back to you.
He'll start making his way towards the parasol.
There's a very obviously male figure seated under the parasol. They don't seem to give any mind as you approach them, though.
Excuse me, not really sure where I'm at. Sorry to interrupt you. Do you tell me where I am exactly?
The figure doesn't turn to look at you as you speak. It doesn't seem to notice you whatsoever. It doesn't give any inclination that it does. Though it does appear as you step closer, even stepping under the parasol, perhaps, you see the fact it's wearing a white lab coat.
Hey, are you awake? Excuse me. He'll kind of lean down and grab the figure's shoulder, lightly shake it.
Okay. As you do so, you find yourself at the exact point on the beach you began.
He'll look around again, kind of blink a couple times. Huh, that was weird.
You see the same parasol, and you see the same figure kneeling.
Okay. He's gonna make his way back to the parasol.
Okay.
Instead of touching the figure, he's going to try and pull the parasol out of the ground.
It comes free.
He's gonna walk around, or try to walk in front of the guy with the parasol in hand.
Okay. You walk around in front of him. You see yourself kneeling there, but your eyes are closed.
He's gonna go. Is he relatively close to the water?
Maybe about 10, 15 feet away.
So if I was quick about it, I could, in theory, like cup some water in my hand and splash him with it.
Yep, you could.
I will try to do that.
Okay. As the water touches his face, you find yourself in the exact same space you were before. The parasol is now in the ground again, and everything is as it was when you entered.
He's gonna make his way back over there. He's going to not interact with the dude at all, and instead just kneel in front of him and mimic him.
Okay. You feel a hand on your shoulder.
He'll open his eyes and look, see.
You see this young woman with her hand on your shoulder.
Oh, hi.
It's funny, isn't it? You know, when all you have are dreams and half-forgotten memories, and yet trying to gain something, trying to move forward with only shattered fragments to stand on.
Yeah, it's been a little rough, not gonna lie.
For the record, obviously, do I need to elaborate who this woman is, or
No, I got it.
excellent? I mean, 10 out of 10, Tiger. 10 out of 10.
I remember the picture.
You remember the picture. It's good. It's all good.
How? Wait for a second. Is this real?
Insofar as anything is, yes, I suppose so.
What's He's gonna look at is the lab coat me still there?
Yep.
So what is this, like, past meets present meets possible future sort of thing, or like what is happening?
I guess it's more kind of a question. If you think about it like this, she gestures. That is Bok Choy. She points at him. And you're Hayun. Are these two things the same? Are people just the sum of their memories?
No, I don't think so. I argue I'm not even really Hyun anymore now that I've unlocked some of the stuff. I'm some weird hybrid between the two. But sure, there's Agent Bok Choi, and sure there was Hyun Choi, but Hyun was just a blank slate. Hmm.
But is he? Bok Choy was the sum of the person he was because he was molded by the world to be that person. Hyun Choi is the exact same. Admittedly, the times are different. One had longer, but does that necessarily mean that that has more value? You aren't burdened. You aren't burdened by Bok Choy's memories, his loves, or his hates.
The looks part is debatable.
Beg your pardon? What was that? Sorry.
The looks part is debatable. There's been more than one occasion where I've nearly gotten into hot water because they mistook me for him. Though arguably they were right, but still not right.
So I'm curious. Taking steps forward, taking steps that make you you. Is that you, Hyun Choi or Bok Choi? Old or new? Tomorrow or yesterday? That's an interesting way to phrase it.
Well, think about it. I'm still affected by his legacy, even if it isn't mine anymore. But I'm still making the active effort to be my own person and change things how I want to change them.
I'm curious then, what is the value of a moment?
It depends on the moment.
Exactly. But when you sit here with me, when you stand here, when you speak, what is it that we're gaining? Knowledge, understanding, and if then, am I gaining that from Bok Choy or am I gaining that from Hyun Choi? They're different people after all.
At this point, I'd say you're gaining it from Hyun Choi. But I'd also argue wisdom and knowledge aren't the only things we're gaining by standing here and talking to each other. At least not for me.
Hmm. Why? What else are we gaining?
Comfort.
There's logic in that, I suppose.
Is there? I don't think there is. It just is. It's just what we're gaining.
I mean, I think that ultimately, when it is that we come to understand one another, or indeed come to understand the person that we are now, there's comfort in that statement. There's comfort in that knowledge.
Fair, but are we any closer to understanding who we are as people or who we are to each other?
Hmm.
Or are we just comforted by each other's presence in our discussion?
Oh, so what you're saying is the discussion ultimately is secondary to the people having the discussion.
Arguably, yes.
Hmm. I can understand that logic. As I said, you're not bound by his loves, his hates, his memories, but you share the same flesh, you walk with the same gait, you are biologically the same. I'm trying to work out if moving on from here, if walking from this point going onwards, you are Bok Choy or you're Hyun Choi. That's kind of my conundrum at the moment.
I don't think I'd be making the same choices I'm making now if I was still bok choy. I wouldn't be at the chantry, I wouldn't be helping Eliza with her stuff or helping my cabal. I'd probably be trying to kill them, to be honest with you. If things had gone differently, if I had stayed where I was, if I hadn't, he'll look down, he'll kind of pop the claws out of his hand and look at him and then pop them back in. If I hadn't undergone all of this, none of that would have happened. I wouldn't have met my friends that I've met, and there wouldn't be a Hyun, there'd only be Bak.
So does that mean that tomorrow belongs to Hyun?
I would argue so. But Hyun has to deal with what Bak has done. We're connected.
If you could remember, would you wish to?
I don't know.
Tiger, I have to ask, is your dog dying?
No, he's just sad because I'm not paying attention to him.
Okay.
Sad.
Sad boy. But she'll nod and she'll say, there must be a great conflict, not knowing yourself and not knowing if you want to know.
I want to know, I'm just afraid of what might happen if I do know.
Why?
It's a bit more complicated than just logging memories, given the nature of what I am now. For all I know, there could have been a failsafe. If those memories get unlocked, my current personality is overwritten with Fox, and then I have to be that again.
Who's to say that you're not him, just him in a slightly lighter fashion?
It's fair. I don't know. I might never know.
All right, then. She stands up and she walks till she's standing right next to the ocean, and you can just about hear her when she says, "In that case, it's agreed. Tomorrow belongs to Hyun Choi."
Yeah, that sounds pretty good.
All right. Tiger, you will sit bolt upright in your bed. And on that note, we will end the scene. Thank you, player, for playing. Thank you, watchers, for watching. This has been another Scene in Darkness in Dublin. Have a pleasant evening.